Africa. It's BBC Radio Leicester. Ben Jackson with you through until 1. Just coming to 12 minutes past 10. Now, today is World Kidney Day. Around 60,000 people in the UK currently undergo regular dialysis or have had a kidney transplant, with some, of course, still waiting for a transplant. One of those is Dan Norcott from Leicester. He's currently on the transplant waiting list and has been for about 18 months or so. That hasn't stopped him from doing things like, cycling to Paris and being at his regular local karate class. Dan joins us now. Morning.
Morning, Ben.
We first kind of came across you on the cycle to Paris, which I'm sure was very hard, but you did without any particular issues.
Yeah, well, the trick was to just slice it up into manageable chunks. Some people could do that ride in sort of 4 days, but we did it over 10. So it was between 35 and 55 miles a day. And we did. It was okay. Pub lunches, hotels, it was great.
Slightly numb bum.
Yeah, very numb bum. And you have to get this butter stuff that you smear on your buttocks to stop yourself getting saddle sore.
It's got off the idea of cycling immediately.
It's horrific.
Yeah.
So you've not lived until you've buttered your bum.
Just leave that image in the air for a moment. Look, this is all about the fact that a while ago you discovered that you had kidney problems and in fact have got to have a transplant.
Yeah.
Where did that road start?
My dad had polycystic kidney disease, and he had years of dialysis and a couple of transplants, and he died when he was 59. I was diagnosed with it when I was 21, and what it means is that you get cysts that get larger and larger in your kidneys and disrupt their function until you almost inevitably need dialysis or transplant. So right now, my GFR, which is a measure of kidney function, is 11. And when it gets down to around now, you start to need dialysis or transplant. And nowadays, if they can, they like to give you a transplant rather than dialysis, because dialysis is bad for your heart. You can get infections and all sorts of things. It's hard to tolerate it for long. And if you get a kidney transplant before you got very ill, the outcomes are much better, and they can last 15, 25 years if you're lucky. I was scheduled to get one for my mum, but then the scans and everything they were doing to make sure she was okay came up that she had lymphoma last year, so she's on chemo now, but it looks good for her, so hopefully that'll be okay. But now she's out as a source, and my wife's been worked up to see if she can give me a kidney, but we'd ideally not do that because she's got a big history of cancer in her family, and if you've got 2 kidneys to fight that, the better. So we're hoping a kidney comes up on the list, but we had a meeting. Sorry, do you want to say?
No, go on.
We had a meeting with a transplant surgeon who explained the stats, and we had thought it was about an 18-month wait roughly for a kidney on the list, but we learned that it's after 3 years, 54% of people have had a kidney. So it's a lot worse odds than we thought there would be. We're just waiting. Hopefully in the next 6 months something will come up, but if it doesn't, the balance of risks might turn towards it being sensible for us to get Ali to give me a kidney. But obviously I don't want to endanger her unless, it endangers me far more. Because, each of us wants to look after the other, basically.
Well, of course, I understand that. And the implications for your health at the moment, though, so if your levels are at this sort of nominal 11, which is just begins to get the tipping point, what implication is that in your day-to-day life?
Very restricted diet, potassium and phosphorus. If I eat too much potassium, it causes me heart arrhythmia and I can have a heart attack and die. If I eat too much phosphorus, which is in dairy products, cheese and milk and stuff like that, then basically my bones can dissolve because of some complicated cycle of phosphorus in the body that makes, I think it's your thyroid gland overproduce something else, and it makes your bones weak. My dad broke lots of ribs as a result of weakened bones. So you've got to be very careful with your diet. And just sleepiness, tiredness is the number one thing. And that's part of the reason why I like to do a lot of exercise, because even though exercise makes you tired, obviously
there's tired and tired, isn't there?
Yeah. Being fit is your best defense against all sorts of things. Whether you're ill or not, being fit is an excellent preventative measure.
I have to say you are the picture of health. It has to be said, that's slightly the point of how you keep yourself healthy.
Yeah, and that's the thing of kidney disease as well. There's people, I think it's 5,000 people on the waiting list, and most of them you wouldn't know they were ill. I'm quite a big, strong guy, you wouldn't really know, but I've got very little stamina. I get, when I'm doing karate, if I'm running around, I get out of breath really, really quickly. No one can hit me in the kidneys, obviously, either, so they're careful about that. But yeah, it's a common thing. People don't know you're ill unless you moan about it all the time, which you do a little bit. But
well, I think you're allowed to. It comes with the territory. When you get this transplant, you've alluded to that, hopefully 10, 15 years. Does that mean that you end up in almost like a queue of having more than one transplant?
Yeah, my dad had 2 in the end. It's harder the second time around because your ecosystem of your body gets more complex when you've had another kidney put in. You generate antibodies towards that organ, and then you have immunosuppressants when you've had a transplant to dampen down your immune system to stop your body attacking the kidney, which makes you more prone to lymphoma and things like that. And then when that finally rejects, they take it out. And then you're on the waiting list again, but it's just slightly trickier the second time round because it's a more complicated environment and there's more chance of the kidney being attacked. So they've got to screen for antibody matches and things like that. But yeah, having 2 isn't that rare.
And it's World Kidney Day today, and we'll do a bit more about this later on in the programme. But it's ultimately this is a you are a positive story in as much as you've proved that by partaking enthusiastically in sport, you are in a sense prolonging the moment at which you have to have transplant or dialysis.
Yeah, to an extent. Like last year, I only lost 3% of function, which is pretty good. But there's no hard and fast certainty that it was because I'm fit, but it certainly helps. And everyone's going to die at some point, and you just got to try and have fun while you're alive. And I like being fit and going outside
and having fun.
So everyone, whether you're ill or not, being fit is it's a way to have more fun and live a longer life. So
and ultimately today is about getting people to get onto the register as well. How do they do that? How do they get more information?
Okay, I checked it out this morning, and I'm on it as well. Even though a lot of my organs aren't worth putting in a skip, but things like even me, my cornea and my corneas and my heart, things like that might be useful to someone. But yeah, if you just Google organ donation, you end up at organdonation.nhs.uk, which is a really simple site. You sign up, and it's very important to have a conversation with your relatives as well, because even if you're not on the register, I think if you've told your relatives, they can advise doctors if something happens to you that that your organs are okay to use for people. Because I think if I lost a member of my family, it would give me quite a lot of succour afterwards to know that someone else was helped by it, and I know I'd be grateful if I got someone's organs. So there's lots of us out there. I think 250 people a year die waiting for a kidney. There's 5,000 people waiting for a kidney every year. There's, I think, 100 people in the country donate altruistically, just give kidney to a complete stranger, which is crazy. I was speaking to a guy on Twitter who got an altruistic kidney, and that's like a superhero, basically, someone who does that.
Dan, it's amazing to talk to you. Will you keep in touch, and let's see how you go over the next year or so? Would that be okay?
Yeah, I'll let you know if a transplant turns up.
Yeah, please let us know how that goes, and keep cycling, but without the butter. Dan Norcott joining us, leaving us with some certain pictures in our mind this morning. Thanks for joining us here on BBC Radio Leicester. Alex is here with the latest weather for us. Morning, Alex.
Good morning, and what a beautiful morning it is as well as we go